A little bit overview. Reef Malaysia is a non-profit organization based in Malaysia. And one of our projects with the Ocean Grant is to establish a community protocols. It aims to manage the marine resources sustainably in one of the beautiful islands in Semporna, Borneo, called Larapan Islands. So a little bit about our teams. Basically, we are in different places of Malaysia, working with local communities, establishing good collaborations with different stakeholders in managing our marine resources. So we have our teams in Redang Island, Tioman Islands, Mersings, and some in Johors, working together with the local communities, training them to become marine conservation leaders. And over in Sabah, Malaysia, we are doing the similar models. And in Semporna, we also train many of the youth to be involved in marine conservation. So over the years, our experience has led us to kind of believe that, we need to provide more opportunity for local community to have the opportunity to be involved in marine conservations, be it in the design process of how to manage their marine resources or, spearheading their own marine conservation initiatives. And this can only be done by supporting and providing them the skills they needed. And the Oceans Grants project in Larapan Islands aims to kind of like empower the local communities to develop this community protocol. It's a very traditional protocols that allows the local community to claim their customary rights over the marine resource areas. This is not very common in the past because it's mainly practiced in land or terrestrials. But we are trying to explore the way of doing community protocols in marine waters. So a lot of things are ongoing, engaging the local communities, doing a lot of community consultations, communicating about the projects. And I think this is a very good platform for us as well to share what are the lesson learned or kind of our way in navigating and communicating our projects to our stakeholders. So if we could get, if we can, go to the next slides. So I'll be sharing mainly on two things. One is the local community engagements, and second is the government stakeholder engagement. So through these two key project communications, we kind of like learn that there are different approach that we need to kind of like designs and implement for different stakeholders and how we can make it more meaningfully and impactfully. So next slides, please. So the local community engagements, basically, we are trying to build leaders among the local communities. Despite we know that some of this community have the struggles to kind of like be in front, be the leaders and, doing all the talk, doing all the engagements. We kind of like break all these, stereotypes that communities cannot lead facilitation. So in order to do this, is basically to have the leaders among themselves. So we provide a lot of opportunities in capacity building training for our youth leaders in Larapan Islands under the Larapan Marine Conservation Group. And they are the one who kind of help us in communicating the projects, facilitating the discussions, ensuring that we are kind of more aware about what we need to be more sensitive when it comes to community engagement or community consultations. And of course, because they know their people, they know their culture, they know their community backgrounds, they are able to kind of like integrate all these Jet C elements. For instance, we have in Larapan Island, we have Masni. So Masni is one, in the past, you would not have a female conservation leaders, especially in these communities that very conservative. It's kind of like a taboo for them for a female or young girls to be in France and doing all the talking or even doing all these marine conservation activities like diving. So, but with good, capacity buildings and supports and mentors, we have Mazdi, and now she's the one who help us with, ensuring that the female participants are also actively taking part in the consultations or discussions, because if you don't have female facilitators in the group, especially coming from the local community themselves, then you would kind of like not be able to break the barriers in terms of local communications, because they speak different knowledge, they speak different jargon, and some of your project's jargons could be very difficult for them to understand. So having them by sides doing the community engagements would help to facilitate the discussions more meaningfully. And of course, it's having them also in the group would kind of like help you to ensure that whatever you do, it's, aligned culturally with them. So we are not like touching any sensitive issues. We are respecting their culture while in between kind of like consulting them. So there are some like cultural understanding that we need to kind of like be aware, and this can only be obtained by engaging local communities and the local leaders. So they can tell us like when you propose like let's do a meeting, a community meeting on, like for instance, on Monday, then they would probably come to you and suggest why not do it during Friday, because during Friday like the fishermen will not go out and do fishing, so that's where all the communities are in the islands, and you can do the community engagement with more people. So it's very basic, but it's something that you wouldn't be able to know because you're not coming from the island. But having the leaders themselves empowered and able, to help you with the with the consultation designs, that's kind of like helpful in a way that it's going to achieve your project communication as well. And the next slides will be focusing on government stakeholders. And this is very important because like our project is very community centered, meaning to say we want the community themselves to kind of like aware and be involved actively in the process, because community protocol, like the name itself is community, meaning to say the community has to develop the protocol themselves. Our roles here is facilitating, and we need to make sure that as an organizations that we also have our own ambitions that we want to protect the coral reefs and stuff, but we need to also understand that when it comes to community empowerment, the community need to be at the forefront doing all the work, and we need to be at the back supporting them with the resources, with the knowledge, with the technical advice and stuff. And community projects sometimes have very little support from government stakeholders, and this is a common challenges in our area, and this project requires a lot of government support. So in order to obtain government support, we also building rapport with governments. So by working closely with key government agencies, and ensuring that their priorities is also aligns with us. So when we talk to agencies that focusing on biodiversity, we need to ensure that the biodiversity language is there. When we talk to fisheries department, we need to make sure that the fisheries language is there. And of course, a lot of things that are being included in the process, including bringing the local community themselves and telling about the projects. So during this, process in building rapport with governments, we bring the local community, like for instance, Mazni, to be involved in the high level consultations and telling about their projects and telling their struggles and how the government should be supporting them, and achieving be on board in the process of developing their community protocol. So it's very interesting because in Sabah, in our place, it's very rare to see a community to be involved in government meetings, and to be able to have the opportunity to speak themselves. So only through these projects we are able to connect the local communities and the governments, and ensuring that the government, be more inclusive in when you talk about marine resources management. So the community are the main resource users. They need to be on the meeting. They need to say something on behalf of themselves. So this is very interesting, and the government see how the communities are being empowered whenever they tell their stories, and it's very impactful. And they are now securing good relationship with government agencies, particularly the Sabah Biodiversity Center and also the Department of Fisheries Sabah. And the next slides will be focusing on some of the challenges and how we overcome them. We know that the community protocol is when it comes to marine, it's very new. So a lot of things that we need to kind of like align with government's priorities. Like I said just now, when we talk with different government agencies, they have different priorities. So if we keep pushing our own language and agenda, they will not be interested. So we need to kind of like find a way in translating our own uh, what to say that our projects languages so that they align with government priorities so that we can secure their commitments. And of course, we know the community protocol aim to protect the waters so that it, protect the livelihood of local communities living in Larapan Islands. But because Larapan Island is a very, the islands within Samporna is now are being targeted for tourism developments, and that also include Larapan. So we are now seeing resorts built or developed in Larapan Islands, which are not aligned with the cultural, with 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 the culture of local communities living in the island. We cannot do anything because at the moment the community protocol are not yet developed. But we see that the local communities are now raising more awareness about it, telling about the issues. They don't want developments destroying their marine resources, particularly the coral reefs, which is a good indications that their sense of awareness and leaderships are being more stronger than before.